Hello, I'm Besora. Amidst the rapid evolution of AI technology shaking the world and the deepening global chaos, I have discovered some very significant points of convergence. It appears that the biblical timelines and modern technological roadmaps, which seem entirely unrelated, are aligning toward a narrow window in the early 2030s, as if by appointment. Today, I will present the evidence of why this does not seem like a mere coincidence and why we must remain awake and vigilant.
First, let's examine the fundamental basis for why we view human history through the lens of 7,000 years. This is often interpreted as a blueprint of time engraved into the structure of the original Hebrew text of Genesis 1:1, the very first verse of the Bible. The opening of the Bible, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, states, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." This sentence consists of exactly 7 words in Hebrew. This is often seen as a symbol that the entire cycle of human history exists within a massive 7,000-year framework. However, an interesting distinction is found here. Within this 7-word sentence, the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, Aleph, appears exactly 6 times. In Hebrew, Aleph represents the number 1, but it shares the same spelling as Aleph, which means 1,000. Why are there only 6 letters meaning thousand in a 7-word sentence? It is presumed that this is because the physical history of humanity's labor on this earth is limited to 6,000 years. Let's apply the principle from 2 Peter 3:8. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. The pattern of God creating the heavens and the earth in 6 days and resting on the 7th can be understood as a flow where 6,000 years of human labor are followed by 1,000 years of rest, the peace of the new millennium, or the millennial kingdom. Within the total 7,000-year history, a perspective emerges that we are currently at the end of the 6,000 years permitted for human labor, the evening of the 6th day. This is one of the logical backgrounds for why we call the present time the end times. So, where exactly do we stand on this 6,000-year timeline of human history? To confirm this, we must use the most decisive turning point in human history, the crucifixion of Jesus, as our precise historical coordinate. Many biblical scholars and historians focus on the record in Luke 3:1. The Bible specifically identifies the ruler of that time as being in the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar. According to Roman history, Tiberius began his reign in AD 14. Adding 15 years brings us to AD 29, the year Jesus began his public ministry. By adding the number of Passovers recorded in the Gospels, a ministry of approximately 3.5 years, the timeline converges on the specific coordinate of AD 33. Surprisingly, modern astronomy supports this historical record with great precision. Scholars, including Professor Colin Humphreys of Cambridge University, recreated the skies of Jerusalem at that time through astronomical simulations. In Acts 2:20, "The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the coming of the great and awesome day of the Lord." Professor Humphreys' calculations confirmed that on the evening of Friday, April 3rd, AD 33, there was a partial lunar eclipse visible in Jerusalem. The moon, rising above the horizon, would have appeared deep red, a blood moon, due to the scattering of light through the Earth's atmosphere. The point where the historical evidence of Tiberius Caesar's reign meets the astronomical evidence of the blood moon is a D33. Please remember this number. As the paused prophetic clock begins to tick again, this coordinate becomes the most important signpost for our current position in time. Now we face one of the most precise and mysterious blueprints in the Bible, the prophecy of the 70 weeks in Daniel chapter 9. Here, a week refers to a period of 7 years. Thus, the 70 weeks represent a grand historical countdown of 490 years, calculated as 7 times 70, set for the completion of human history. This precise clock first began to tick in 445 BC, according to historical records, when King Artaxerxes issued the decree to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. According to the prophecy, 69 weeks, or 483 years, which is 7 times 69, would pass until the appearance of the Messiah. It is astounding that when we apply ancient Hebrew prophetic calculations to this period, we arrive exactly at AD 33, the coordinate we previously confirmed historically and astronomically. However, a mysterious prophetic gap occurs here. Out of the designated 490 years, the stopwatch of history stopped at the 69th mark, with only 7 years, the final week, remaining. Why did this clock stop with 7 years left? The Bible calls this paused interval a grand gift to humanity, the Age of Grace. Before the final chapter of human history, the 7-year tribulation, begins, the Creator delayed the prophetic clock so that all nations could find salvation. Consequently, the time we are living in right now is the deferred time, granted within the gap of that stopped prophetic clock between the 69th and 70th weeks. If the gears of this clock, which have not moved for nearly 2,000 years, began to wind again, would it be a mere coincidence that it aligns with the numerous signs of the 2030s we examined earlier? How long will this deferred age of grace last? We often find a precise spiritual pattern in the parable of the Good Samaritan told by Jesus. In the parable, the Samaritan who saves the man beaten by robbers is interpreted as Jesus, who came to save us, and the innkeeper who cares for the wounded is interpreted as the Holy Spirit. A crucial clue is the 2 denarii the Samaritan gave to the innkeeper as he left. At that time, 1 denarius was a day's wage. In other words, he entrusted the innkeeper with 2 days' wages, promising, "Take care of him until I return." If we apply the principle that 1 day is like 1,000 years, those 2 days' wages signify the 2,000-year age of grace during which the Holy Spirit works on this earth. The point where the promised 2,000 years from around AD 33 are fulfilled is approximately the year 2033. Hosea 6:2 also says, "After 2 days he will revive us. On the 3rd day he will raise us up." Following this precise rhythm, we reach the prediction that the great threshold of human history will be completed around the early 2030s, specifically around 2033. Once the 2,000 years of grace conclude, the perspective is that the clock of the final 7-year tribulation will begin to move once more. The pace of technological advancement unfolding before our eyes also concretely supports this flow. We now stand at the threshold of artificial superintelligence, ASI, something humanity has never experienced. The first to foresee this trend was futurist Ray Kurzweil, maintaining an incredible 86% accuracy rate over the past 30 years. He has consistently claimed that AI will reach human-level intelligence, AGI, by 2029. This prediction is becoming a reality. OpenAI's Sam Altman recently mentioned in his blog and interviews that superintelligence could emerge within a few thousand days, and he is accelerating the construction of massive energy infrastructure and chip production networks to achieve this. Elon Musk also presented a specific scenario where AI will be smarter than any individual human by next year. and more powerful than the collective intelligence of all humanity by 2029. The point we must focus on is what happens after the emergence of AGI. Once AI begins to learn and improve itself, its intelligence will explode exponentially, entering the stage of artificial superintelligence, which completely escapes human control. Many tech experts foresee this explosive turning point being completed and applied across society by the early 2030s. How does this technology align with biblical prophecy? The core system of the final 7-year tribulation described in the Bible is global real-time control. With past technology, it was impossible to monitor and control the economic activities, identities, and every move of billions of people in real time. However, look at the technologies being prepared now. Biometric-based digital IDs like WorldCoin, World ID, promoted by Sam Altman, and central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, that central banks worldwide are rushing to adopt can become perfect tools of control when combined with ASI. It is a very significant indicator that the physical infrastructure for a centralized AI to identify everyone and approve or block payments in real time is being completed right around the expected end of the Age of Grace in 2033. It appears as though the technological environment that will dominate the era of tribulation is aligning precisely with that time, as if by appointment.
Of course, no one knows the day or hour except the Father. I am not here today to fix a certain date. However, when so many independent indicators point to one place, we must humbly reflect upon ourselves. The fact that the age of grace is ending is not something to fear. It means we have been given a final golden time to truly love and restore our essence. Friend, what is the most essential thing in your life right now? Before the 2 days promised by the Samaritan Pass, I hope you live a life that is awake and prepared. I too will continue to discern and prepare for this era alongside you. I hope today's story resonates deeply in your life. This has been Besora. Thank you for watching.